Chapter 4, in which Todd and Audrey takes Princess Kitty out to the city. The next day, Todd and Audrey were heading home after school, knowing that it's high time to spend more time with the princess they've met. "Todd, don't you think we should be looking for Kitty?" she asked. "As soon as we change our clothes, we'll look for her," he said. "Maybe she's in the playhouse when we first met her. And then what? Where should we take her?" "Probably anywhere. I get a feeling that she'll like this place." But she begins to feel nervous. "Do you think the city is going to prepare for a girl with cat ears? If the girl can do magic, maybe she'll do something about it." Todd and Audrey enter their house and check the grandparents in the living room. They can see that the grandparents were still asleep, as if they were dead. They head into the kitchen and find a note taped to the small refrigerator. "We'll be back soon. Love, Mom and Dad." "Do you think Mom and Dad will be pleased if they meet her?" Audrey asked. "Our best bet right now is to keep her to ourselves," Todd said. They head upstairs to their room and stopped short when they saw what was inside. There, lying on one of the beds, was Princess Kitty, stretching herself, vocalizing in throaty purrs. Sensing that the children are present, she sat up.
"Well, I didn't see you two come in,"
she said. "Oh, good," Todd exclaimed, smiling. "You can understand us. You can talk like us." She nodded.
"But I'm not like one of you."
"Seems like you're beginning to like it here."
"Yes, I have come to this world for a purpose."
"What purpose?" Audrey asked.
"It comes to my attention that this place might be the one I'd most likely visit often,"
Princess Kitty said.
"Woe to the children who has no time to play and work instead. They will never be gay in this city, and when they are older, they will be very sorry for it."
"That will be fine," Todd said, "if only the people in the city can see you."
"Poor little children," Princess Kitty said. "Alas, that the day may never come, as long as they remain grown-ups instead of a child again. What are you going to say to the people? Will you say to them, 'Hey everyone, meet Princess Kitty'? I'm certain I'm not going to be welcomed with open arms that easily, since I'm new here."
"So your name really is Princess Kitty," Audrey said. "Oh, what a beautiful name."
"It is," Princess Kitty answered. "The both of you may call me Kitty. Your Highness is correct, but usually reserved for more formal occasions. I'm a princess of much leniency, but tolerates little familiarity."
"We were thinking about your presence here," Todd said. "Maybe since you can do magic, you can do something about it."
"So what are you going to do tomorrow?"
she asked. "We have our neighbor, Mrs. Malchance. She has zero tolerance in having fun. She always has no time to play with us. As long as we never visit her more often and behave ourselves, we'll be right as rain. Should we not?" But Princess Kitty, determined, continued in the same tone.
"And why does she hate fun?"
"She thinks it's a waste of time and effort," Todd said.
"That's exactly what I'm discussing about the grown-ups in this city. Poor, pitiful woman. I am sorry for her."
"Sorry for her? Well, you won't be. What a horrible, mean, nasty lady Mrs. Malchance is. Constance Malchance, to be precise. The devil woman. She was like a fierce, tyrannical monster who frightened the life out of both children and grown-ups alike, whoever came near her. There was an aura of menace about her even at a distance, and when she came up close, you could almost feel the dangerous heat radiating from her as from a red-hot rod of metal. Thank our lucky stars we don't meet any people like her, although they do exist and all of us are unlikely to come across at least one of them in a lifetime. If you ever do, you should behave as you would if you met an angry rhinoceros out of the bushes. Climb up the nearest tree and stay there until it has gone away. Oh, how horrible would that be?" The children's concern of their neighbor knew no bounds. It is impossible to describe it. You must picture it to yourself. The poor children, how they live in a grip of fear when they come to visit their neighbor. There must be something to do about it.
"Maybe I'll reconsider your neighbor and having fun with you two," Princess Kitty said.
Reconsider Malchance, Todd said. There's no hope for that. You wouldn't even reconsider the devil. She insists upon strict discipline when you visit her. And if you take my advice, you will do your very best to behave yourself in her presence. Never argue with her, never answer her back, always do as she says. Should you not, terrible consequences is what awaits you.
Will you be visiting her?
Tomorrow we shall. We'll be fine.
And if she gives you a bad time?
We'll be over it, Audrey said. We'll have fun back home to make it up.
It's a good thing I'll be staying with you, too,
Princess Kitty said.
I shall be sleeping in a room, probably for the time being.
Then she heard the bells on the tree from outside.
While I first came here, I hear those bells on the tree. The same sound I've heard today. What are they for?
2 years ago, we tied bells to the branches of the tree, Todd said. And once a year, we replaced a string on each of them.
What purpose does it serve?
Every time the bells ring on the tree, and when the wind rises, magic is sure to happen, or luck. Hearing the bells again, she asked,
You believe that? Since I'm new to this city, someday I'll be getting my own home. Then you'll come visit me as long as you like. Then I'll tie bells on my own tree. When it comes to magic or luck, I'm the only cat here who is full of it.
The children looked at this creature, then at each other. When we first saw you and you made us look inside your scepter, Todd said, you said something to us before we passed out. What did you say?
I would like to thank you both for accepting me in your lives.
Princess Kitty smiled.
If you wish to know me, know that I'm not of this earth. Even though I mostly resemble a human, I'm not like one of them. I came here to this world for one purpose, to find someone to make me feel right at home, only to find you both. And this feeling will never disappear. Will you be able to picture the things I'm thinking of? Imagine all the most wonderful things I can do for the both of you from now on. Whatever happens, in the name of the kingdom, I will stay by your side. No matter where I try to roam now, it only goes to show I'm such a long, long way from home. If you need a friend, I'm the one to turn to. If any of you are having a bad day occasionally, I shall put your stressful mind at ease. If you want me to stay and be loved by everyone, here I am. My name is Princess Kitty of KAWAII Wonderland.
KAWAII Wonderland? Todd asked. Is that where you're from? Where can we find this place?
Well, it may be impossible for the both of you to get there, because the kingdom is somewhere far away beyond the stars,
Princess Kitty said.
Now, is there anyone else you want me to meet?
There are the 4 grandparents, but I think it's best not to, Todd said. They're heavy sleepers because they're old.
What food do they eat?
They mostly eat oatmeal slop.
That doesn't sound appetizing.
Speaking of food, do you feel hungry?
I haven't eaten in a while.
Todd and Audrey brought their new friend to their kitchen. Seeing that she hasn't been to this world, Princess Kitty looked for something to eat. But to Todd and Audrey's concern, there's none that she didn't like. They discover that she doesn't like corn, cauliflower, potatoes, onions, cabbages, spinach, mushrooms, tomatoes, broccoli, carrots, or any other food from the kitchen. When she does try a carrot, she immediately felt her abdomen contracting forcefully, making her go on all fours and retching. Eventually, the food ejects from her mouth. Defeated, they immediately take her back to their room.
Since there's nothing good for me to eat, do you think we'll head over to the city?
Princess Kitty asked. What do you mean? Todd asked. The city's probably... There came a realization from him. So you tell me that you can't eat vegetables, but instead you can only eat anything that's full on sugar?
Precisely,
she chirped. How is that possible? Todd asked. If you can only eat something sugary, how come your teeth doesn't get any cavities? How come you're not gaining weight until you look like a pig? How come you didn't get a crash? How come you don't get sick from eating too much?
Most people from my home had nothing to eat but cakes, candies, and chocolates instead of these foods you used to eat. As long as I consume them, my metabolism is at an all-time high. It is best not to question any further.
Well, in order to blend in, you must have some kind of disguise, so they don't recognize you, Todd said. We'll take care of that, as long as we get you clothes. We'll get you a hat to hide your ears and a shirt to hide your tail. But she smiled and said,
You don't have to do anything. That's already been taken care of.
From behind, she pulled out her scepter. Are you going to use magic on yourself? Todd asked.
If it transforms me into a child like you two, it can be done, she smiled. My Neko Scepter, the greatest power ever harnessed in the universe, a power like life itself. As long as I had this, all eyes turned to the one who truly wields it. Now, the appropriate incantation to do this.
Waving her magic scepter in the air, she sings an incantation to it.
I hesitate to use my wand to fulfill my own wishes. It takes a moment to respond, as long as it still swishes. Mew, mew, mew.
She stopped waving her scepter. There was a glow at the end of it for about 5 seconds before dimming. Nothing's happened, Audrey said. I can understand why nothing's happened, Todd agreed. Are you seeing it right, Kitty?
That's because it needs more effort,
Princess Kitty said, and waves her scepter again and singing,
There is some hope to use my wand. As long as it still swishes, you still have power from beyond, fulfilling all my wishes. Mew, mew, mew.
The scepter begins to glow brighter and envelops her in a flash of light, which made Todd and Audrey turn away. It took less than 20 seconds before it dimmed. The scepter Princess Kitty possessed was gone. But from where she stood, she has been transformed in front of their eyes. She looks smaller, about the same height as either Todd or Audrey. Her triangular ears became flesh-colored and round, having them move to the sides of her head. Her long tail is nowhere to be seen. Her cat-like face becomes more human like everyone else. Her hairstyle was different. Her hair was short, with pigtails on each side. She may look like a small girl, but there was one problem Todd and Audrey had never overlooked, and it was this. Despite her transformation, the color of her hair, as well as her eyes, remained unaffected.
Do you have clothes for me to wear before we go?
She asked. She trades her princess dress with one of Audrey's dresses. She's now in a long-sleeved white blouse, a pink dress with suspenders, pink shoes, and a pink bow in her hair. She was cute as a princess, yes, but she's even cuter as a little girl. What kind of desserts would you eat in the city today? Asked Audrey.
I can think of all the desserts I would eat back in my home,
the young Princess Kitty chirped, as her pink eyes sparkled.
Back where I come from, aside from playing with toys, the food the city folk eat are fudge brownies, chocolate cake with vanilla frosting and filled with molten fudge, sponge cake, Swiss rolls, gingerbread, chocolate truffles, gummy bears, gummy worms, chocolate bars, peanut brittle, cotton candy, gumdrops, toffee, candy canes, gobstoppers where you can suck them until they're smaller, ropes of licorice, lollipops, chocolate chip cookies, snickerdoodles, cheesecake, custard tarts, eclairs, ice cream sandwiches, any dessert you can think of.
I understand perfectly, Todd said, but...
But what?
She asked. All those sweets you've mentioned is really fattening. Consume all that, and you might be the size of the dome on Capitol Hill.
If that happens, then I'll believe a word you said from now on.
She then leaped out of the window and landed on her feet. Even though she looked like a human girl, her instincts remained. And that was a flaw. Back where she came from, she had amazing reflexes. With her long legs, she could be able to leap 20 feet into the air from one wall to the other. She is also able to fall from a height and land safely on her feet after rotating her body in midair. She can even walk on narrow places like fences, as if she's walking on a sidewalk, or anything cats can do, and the children not know about. Todd and Audrey froze and looked at each other once more. That's when they realized that the princess they've dealt with is not an ordinary cat. Let us leave Princess Kitty and her new friends for now, and focus on their mean-spirited neighbor. Mr. Pratchett, Todd and Audrey's father, was visiting Constance Malchance's house. Her house was identical to the Pratchett's. In fact, every house in the neighborhood is identical. Constance Malchance was very middle class like the Pratchett's, usually welcomed into high society. The hallway smelt of week-old urine from her dog. Mr. Pratchett, even his children, would wrinkle their noses as either one of them stepped over the threshold. The carpet was a nasty, mushroom-like shade of brown, and was threadbare and scuffed. Now, most neighbors are chosen because they possess a number of fine qualities. They understand children, and they have the children's best interests at heart. They are sympathetic, they are fair, and they are deeply interested. Mrs. Constance Malchance, alas, possessed none of them. She was above all a most formidable female. She was tall and thin, with brown hair. Looking at her, you got the feeling that she may be middle-aged to refuse to have any fun, let alone children. Her face, I'm afraid, was neither a thing of beauty nor a joy forever. She had an obstinate chin, a cruel mouth, and small, arrogant eyes. And her clothes, you say? They were, to say the least, extremely odd. Besides occasions, she always had on a brown jacket with a matching beret. The shirt under her jacket was black as ravens. Her trousers are bottle green. Transparent pantyhose seemed to cover below the waist. On her feet she wore high-heeled pumps. Around her neck is a pearl necklace. On her ears were 2 large gold hoops. She looked, in short, more like a rather eccentric and bloodthirsty workhouse matron than a neighbor. The worst of all was this. Why she became so mean remains a total enigma. Now Mr. Pratchett was sitting in the living room. Mrs. Malchance was standing beside him, with a look of scowling impatience on her face.
One of these days, they'll have to grow up. Never time to play again, always time for work, she said. A consequence of our society.
Oh no, Mrs. Malchance, that can't be right, he cried. They'll still have fun after work.
I don't think so, she said. After working at 5, they will do either paperwork or pay bills to society. You see if they do. Children will have their fun, but in a few more years, it's work they'll be doing. Glad I was never a child any more.
Oh, you must have fun while you were young at the time, Mrs. Malchance. Surely you were.
Not for long, anyway, she barked. I stopped having fun right away.
She's completely off her rocker, he told himself. He stood resolutely before her. For once, he was not going to be browbeaten. I must tell you, Mrs. Malchance, he said, that you are completely mistaken about children when they're growing up to be nice people.
If I'm mistaken, how would your children like to be suddenly convicted? She demanded.
Having fun isn't a felony, Constance, he stated. I didn't mean to argue with you. I only came here to talk about what my children should face in this world, when they should go and meet new friends during the summer. I suppose they would meet something bad, and scorch someone's knickers, or throw rocks at someone's house, or knock crates of fish over at the harbor, Constance stated. Oh no, Mr. Pratchett cried out. They would never do that. Not my Todd and Audrey.
True, but you'll come to know it till it's too late. I know that they still have fun. One of these days they'll end up in trouble. But be lucky that they behave themselves, or terrible consequences is what they shall get.
I understand truthfully, Mr. Pratchett said softly. It's up to you to see that they behave themselves tomorrow after school.
Oh, I will make sure they do all right, she sneered.
Well, I'm glad we have this talk, Mr. Pratchett said. I'll see you tomorrow. He walked out of the house, feeling depressed but by no means deflated. I'm going to do something about this woman, he told himself. I don't know what it will be, but I shall find a way to get hers in the end.